You know, growing older isn't the same as feeling old. There's a difference. I've met 75-year-olds who move with more strength and grace than people in their 40s. And I've also seen folks in their early 60s who already feel trapped inside a body that won't cooperate anymore. So what makes the difference? Most people think it's genetics or luck. But after 35 years as a physician, I've learned something simpler and far more hopeful. It's how you feed your body, how you listen to it, and how you believe in its ability to rebuild itself. I remember one of my patients, her name was Carol. She came to see me a few years ago, at 72. She sat down, looked me in the eye and said, "Dr. Reed, I think my muscles have retired before I did." We both laughed, but behind that laugh, there was a truth many of us know too well. Her legs felt weaker, her balance wasn't the same, and the things that used to feel easy, like climbing the porch steps or carrying groceries, now felt like small mountains. And Carol wasn't alone. If you've ever looked in the mirror and thought, "When did my arms start looking this soft?" Or, "Why do I feel tired even when I haven't done much?" Trust me, you're not imagining it. After age 50, we all start losing muscle. Scientists even have a name for it, sarcopenia, muscle loss that sneaks up quietly, year by year. By the time we hit 70, we might have lost up to 30% of our muscle mass. But here's the good news, and this is the part I want you to really remember. You can build it back, even at 70, even at 80, even if you haven't lifted a dumbbell in decades. Your muscles are listening. They're waiting for a signal, a message from your brain, and from what you feed them, saying, it's time to grow again. And one of the most powerful signals you can give them comes from protein, but not just any protein. See, most people think eggs are the gold standard, and they're good, don't get me wrong. I eat eggs myself every morning, but after decades of studying metabolism in older adults, I can tell you, there are proteins that actually work better than eggs when it comes to rebuilding muscle after 70. Now, before I tell you which ones, I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine your muscles like a house that's been standing for 70 years. The walls are still there, but a few bricks are loose. The foundation needs support, and some of the beams could use a bit of repair. You wouldn't just throw some paint on it and hope for the best. You'd give it the right materials. Strong wood, quality nails, a fresh foundation. That's exactly what the right kind of protein does for your body. It rebuilds from the inside out. Stronger, steadier, more alive. Now here's something most people don't realize. After 60, your body doesn't use protein the same way it used to. You can eat a big steak or a dozen eggs, but if your cells aren't absorbing that protein effectively, most of it just passes through. That's why I often say, it's not just what you eat, it's what your body can hear. Some proteins send a loud, clear signal, like a construction foreman shouting, "Build muscle, now!" Others whisper so quietly, your body barely notices. And the difference between those two can be the difference between frailty and strength, between independence and needing help to stand up from a chair. I once had another patient, Robert, 78 years old. When he first came in, he could barely climb the 3 steps to my clinic. We started small. Resistance bands, short walks, and a nutrition plan built around the 8 proteins I'm about to share with you. 6 months later, he was carrying his own groceries again. A year later, he was back to gardening, bending, lifting, moving freely. And he told me something I'll never forget. He said, "Doctor, I didn't realize how much of my life I'd given up until I got it back." That's what this is about. Not vanity, not looking like a bodybuilder, but reclaiming the simple joys. Standing tall, opening a jar, hugging your grandchild without pain. When I talk about muscle, I'm talking about life, your independence, your energy, your ability to keep doing the things that make you you. So today, I'm going to walk you through 8 proteins that, based on both science and experience, outperform eggs when it comes to muscle building after 70. They're simple, accessible, and, most importantly, effective even if you're just starting out. Because I want you to remember this, your body hasn't given up on you, and it never will, as long as you keep giving it the right tools to rebuild. So if you've ever wondered, is it too late for me? Let me tell you, it's not. Not by a long shot. 1. Whey protein, the wake-up call for your muscles. I often tell my patients, if you want your body to wake up, give it a glass of whey protein in the morning. I remember David, 74, telling me he just didn't have the energy to work out anymore. I suggested something simple, a scoop of whey protein right after waking up. 3 weeks later, he came back and said, "Doc, I don't know what happened, but every morning I want to move again." You see, whey absorbs fast and is packed with leucine, a powerful amino acid that flips the body's muscle-building switch. After 70, your body needs clearer signals, and whey sends that message loud and clear. Tip: have 20 to 25 grams of whey protein right after waking up or post-workout. If you don't like the powder taste, mix it with almond milk and a few berries. 2. Greek yogurt, the nighttime muscle saver. One of my patients, Mary, 69, once told me, "Doc, I barely eat, yet I keep losing muscle. How's that possible?" I explained that as we age, our muscles need protein not just during the day, but through the night. A small serving of Greek yogurt before bed provides slow digesting protein, like a steady drip of nourishment while you rest. It also contains probiotics, which help the gut absorb nutrients. Because if your gut isn't healthy, even the best protein won't do much. Tip: choose plain Greek yogurt, add a few walnuts or blueberries. It's a gentle, delicious way to help your body recover as you sleep. 3. Salmon, the protein that fights inflammation. I once asked an 80-year-old gentleman named George what kept him so strong all these years. He smiled and said, "I eat salmon every week, Doc. Tastes good, and I never have joint pain." Salmon is rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce inflammation, improve circulation, and even boost the muscle's response to protein. That's why older adults who eat salmon often build muscle nearly 20% more efficiently than those eating the same amount of red meat. Tip: enjoy grilled or steamed salmon 2 to 3 times a week. If fresh salmon isn't available, sardines, mackerel, or a good fish oil supplement work too. 4. Lentils, the heart-friendly muscle builder. Not everyone eats meat, and that's perfectly fine. One of my patients, Susan, had high cholesterol and wanted a gentler protein source. I recommended lentils. 3 months later, her blood work had improved and she said, "Doc, my legs actually feel firmer, and I didn't even change my exercise routine." That's the power of lentils, rich in fiber, folate, and easy-to-digest plant protein. They build muscle while being kind to your liver and heart. Tip: try a warm bowl of lentil soup for lunch, paired with brown rice or quinoa for a complete amino acid profile. 5. Cottage cheese, the midnight muscle protector. Here's a small secret I often share. If you want your body to heal, don't go to bed on an empty stomach. Cottage cheese is full of casein protein, which digests slowly, feeding your muscles for 7 to 8 hours as you sleep. Linda, one of my patients, lost muscle after a long illness. I suggested half a cup of cottage cheese before bed. 2 months later, she smiled and told me, "I'm sleeping better, and I actually feel stronger in the mornings." Tip: enjoy half a cup of cottage cheese before bedtime, with a touch of honey or chia seeds, if you like a bit of sweetness. 6. Bone broth, nourishment for joints, tendons, and recovery. We often think muscle growth comes only from meat, but tendons, ligaments, and collagen matter just as much. I had a patient, Arthur, who struggled with knee pain for years. I told him to drink a cup of bone broth every night. 2 months later, he said, "Doc, I can climb stairs again. No handrails this time." Bone broth is rich in collagen peptides and glycine, which support joint repair, improve flexibility, and enhance protein use in muscles. Tip: simmer beef or chicken bones for 6 to 8 hours with a splash of apple cider vinegar. Drink 1 small cup daily, especially after workouts or before bed. 7. Quinoa, the tiny grain that does it all. Quinoa might sound trendy, but I like to call it the grain of strength. It's one of the few plant foods that contain all 9 essential amino acids, a complete protein. A couple I treat, both in their 70s, are lifelong vegetarians. They often felt drained after yoga. I suggested they replace white rice with quinoa. 3 weeks later, they told me, "We don't know what changed, but we're not tired anymore after class." Tip: Use quinoa instead of rice or mix it into your salads. It stabilizes blood sugar and keeps your energy steady throughout the day. 8. Collagen peptides, the forgotten building block. When you hear collagen, you probably think of skin. But did you know over 30% of your body's protein is collagen, found in your muscles, tendons, and even your heart? A German study found that older adults who took collagen peptides with vitamin C increased their muscle protein synthesis by 25%. Helen, 76, once told me she didn't have the strength to work in her garden anymore. I suggested she take collagen peptides each morning with a glass of orange juice. 3 months later, she smiled and said, "Doc, I'm back in my garden again, and my back doesn't ache anymore." Tip: take 10 grams of collagen peptides daily, paired with vitamin C. It keeps your muscles, joints, and even your spirit more flexible. You see, there's no magic pill here, just simple, powerful foods, each one speaking the language your body still understands. Your body doesn't need perfection. It just needs consistency, kindness, and a little belief that it can still grow stronger. And I'm here to remind you, age 70 isn't the end of strength. It's simply the next chapter, the one where you learn to live with your body, not against it. You know, when I look back at my years as a doctor, I realize something important. The strongest people I've met were never the ones with perfect bodies. They were the ones who refused to give up on themselves. I've seen men in their 70s who thought it was too late to start again, until they did. I've seen women who believed their bodies were too old to change, and then surprised everyone, including themselves. It's not the protein shake or the fancy supplement or the gym routine that makes the real difference. It's the decision, quiet, personal, often made in the middle of the night, to say, "I'm still here, and I still matter." That's what I want you to remember tonight. Because the truth is, your body listens to you. When you feed it kindness, it responds. When you move it, even gently, it wakes up. And when you nourish it with the right foods, it thanks you, not with words, but with strength, with balance, with life itself. I think of a patient named Martha. She was 78 when she told me, "Doc, I'm tired of being tired." We started small, a few steps each morning, a little more protein on her plate. 6 months later, she brought me a photo. She was gardening again, smiling in the sunlight, holding up a basket of tomatoes she grew herself. She looked 10 years younger. But more than that, she looked alive. That's what this is really about. Not chasing youth, not turning back time, but reclaiming presence. Reclaiming that quiet joy of being able to move, to feel, to live in a body that still serves you. So tonight, I want to leave you with a small challenge. Nothing big. Nothing that needs a gym membership or a miracle pill. Just this. Choose one small thing from what we talked about today. Maybe it's swapping your toast for Greek yogurt tomorrow morning. Maybe it's adding a scoop of whey protein to your breakfast. Maybe it's just pouring yourself a warm cup of bone broth before bed. One change, that's all. But do it every day for the next 2 weeks. And watch what happens. You might notice your steps feel lighter, your mornings a little brighter. And maybe, just maybe, that quiet spark inside you begins to flicker again. I want you to hold on to that spark. Feed it, protect it. Because no matter how old you are, 60, 70, 80, that spark is the part of you that still believes in what's possible. And if you've been watching this far, I already know one thing about you. You haven't given up. And that, my friend, is where healing begins. If this message spoke to you, even just a little, I'd love for you to share your story in the comments. Tell me what you're starting with, what you're struggling with, or what you've learned along the way. Your story might just be the light that helps someone else begin their own. And if you found this helpful, you can subscribe, not because of algorithms or numbers, but because this space is for you. A space where we keep learning, healing, and reminding each other that age doesn't define us. How we live does. So, take that step, drink that shake, make that meal. And when you do, know that somewhere out there, I'm rooting for you. Because you're not done yet. You're just getting started.